Hi, I'm Katie Ho from Team Shadowed Craters. We decided that while our lunar landscape kit is arriving in the mail, we'll examine the challenge goal of heritage artifacts. In the Moonbots challenge, we get an extra 20 points for photographing or videoing any of the moon artifacts on the sides of the walls of the moonscape. This parallels the Google Lunar X Prize as well, and their bonus goal of imaging man-made artifacts. So we asked the question, what man-made artifacts are on the moon right now? It turns out that there are more than 70 man-made probes and spacecraft on the moon from more than 5 countries. The very first one was Luna 2 from the Soviet Union in 1959, and most of the artifacts are from the Soviet Union and the United States in the midst of their Cold War space race. The early probes like Luna and Ranger simply took pictures and made measurements before crashing on the moon, but then the Soviet Union accomplished another first in space, with a soft landing by Luna 9 in 1966. The USA caught up 4 months later with their first soft landing by Surveyor 1. Over the next couple of years, a number of Soviet and US space probes crashed or soft landed on the moon, returning more data for future manned landings. In parallel, both countries were proceeding with their manned lunar programs, although the US was making better progress due to various technical and administrative delays in the Soviet program. In 1968, the US Apollo 8 spacecraft became the first manned mission to leave Earth orbit and orbit the moon. Then on July 20, 1969, Apollo 11 accomplished the first manned landing on the moon. Interestingly, the Soviet Union simultaneously had its Lunik 15 unmanned spacecraft in orbit around the moon. Lunik 15 was attempting to recover and bring lunar soil back to Earth. Unfortunately, it malfunctioned, and on landing it ended up crashing just a few hours before the Apollo 11 astronauts lifted off from the moon. 5 more Apollo missions successfully landed on the moon, with the last one in 1972. The Soviet Union landed its 4th and last unmanned lander, Lunik 24, in 1976, and there have been no further soft landings on the moon by any country in the last 34 years. However, a second wave of interest in the moon has been rising. In 1990, Japan became the 3rd country to reach the moon with its Titan spacecraft, and in 2005, the European Space Agency also reached the moon with its Smart 1 spacecraft. Both of these missions demonstrated lower cost and lower power approaches for attaining lunar orbit. In 2007, Japan again reached the moon with their Kaguya spacecraft. Also in 2007, China reached lunar orbit for the first time with their Chang'e 1 spacecraft. Then in 2008, India had their successful moon impact probe from their Chandrayaan-1 spacecraft. This mission discovered the presence of water on the moon in September of 2009. This was followed a month later by NASA's L-Cross spacecraft, which also discovered water ice in a shadowed crater. This is Katie Ho from Team Shadowed Craters, signing off.